2024 has been a wild year already, with several big bands from the 80s putting out epic albums 40 plus years after their debuts. Judas Priest, Saxon, and now, tonight, we review the latest album from Accept. Can they keep up the pace? Find out next. Welcome, metal enthusiasts, to another episode of The Metal Dude Abides. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the newest album from the band Accept, Humanoid, their 17th studio album and their 6th album with their new lead singer, Mark Tornillo. It's been 6 albums. Can we even call him new anymore? But anyway, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, what we're going to do is we're just going to go track by track and let you know what I think of the songs in this album, and then my final synopsis. So let's get started with the very first track. If you're familiar with this channel, you'll know I love a good album opener, and Accept does not disappoint here. Diving into Sin gets us off to a rollicking start. The song has a very cool guitar intro, very Arabian sounding. Think about the intro from Metallica's Wherever I May Roam. Kind of that kind of vibe. Very cool. The song is about rebelling against the system. You know, one of the things that we talk about as as to the title of the album, Humanoid, is how as humans we want to be free. Free from the constraints of the system. Free of the constraints of conformity. We want to be our own individuals, and that's what this song is all about, which is going to be in stark contrast to the second song on the album. The second track on the album is the title track, Humanoid. It talks about being assimilated into the hive. Very Borg-like. Makes my Trekkie heart beat a little faster. But therein lies the contrast. In the very first song, we talked about being an individual in conformity, fighting against the system. In the second song, Humanoid, we're now talking about that cybernetic life of being half man, half machine, and not fighting against the system, but actually being part of the system. And while we've lost our soul, we've lost our humanity, the superiority of being that invincible, unaging, machine that can live on and on. So we go from rebelling against to acceptance into the machine. Kind of a cool yin and yang to start this album off. And it even takes a darker twist in the next track. Science fiction has always asked the age-old question, what is human life? What is the essence of being human? And so we have already started to explore in the last track, half man, half machine, computerized, metal, but conscious. The next song, my favorite song on the entire album, takes it into another darker place. Frankenstein talks about not being a cybernetic being, but by being a monster. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with the old Frankenstein trope, let me just tell you. Frankenstein is a story about a scientist who takes the brain of one man and takes the body of another man, brings them together to create this new being. But of course, it's a horror show, so everything goes terribly wrong. The cool thing about this song is it takes it from the angle of the monster itself. So think about this for a second. Very cool concept. You die. Now you've woken up from that death. You don't know where you are. You're not sure what's going on. But you start to realize whatever's going on, you're in a different body than when you died. And then you start putting the pieces together of what has actually occurred to you and realizing that you are still human. You are still you. But now, because of everything that's happened, you're a monster and you're feared by all. Very cool. At the end of the day, just like we talked about the cybernetic beings, Frankenstein's monster is a human and has the soul of a human, but has, but is not accepted any longer into human society. Pretty cool stuff. I love this song, by far my favorite. I love the lyrics. I love the concept. I love the guitar solo in it. I love everything about this song. If you are new to Accept and you're giving them a try, please listen to these first 3 songs before you make any decisions, because this album really hinges on these first 3. Almost like a little miniature concept album, really, about the debate of existence. Pretty cool stuff. Really think if you want to give this album a try, start with these 3 tracks, and I think you'll find that this album is really good. But let's continue on reviewing the rest of the album. The 4th track is a song called Man Up, and it kind of gets away from the theme of what is human life, and it just really talks about the day-to-day struggles against the challenges that life throws against you, and how you have to man up and get through the problems and work through those issues. The old theme, don't give up, keep on battling. As Lemmy would say, don't let the bastards grind you down. This is kind of an uplifting track. I really like, one of the things about Accept, especially in this new era of Accept, really heavily guitar driven. And Wolf Hoffman is doing some great things with the guitars on these first 4 songs. Lots of interesting riffs, lots of intricate guitar solos. I like the guitar work on this song as well. So while we start to depart from the main theme that we were looking at in the first 3, this is a great album reset. Kind of picks things up a little bit. And love this song. Man Up, our 4th track. But things are about to get a little heavier. The 5th track is one of the heaviest tracks on the album and one of my favorite tracks as well, The Reckoning. One of the things that Accept has put in a lot of their more recent albums is these apocalyptic tunes. Think about The Abyss. Think of Fall of the Empire. That kind of type of song. But those songs are kind of slow, almost power ballads. This is more like, if you go way back to the first album with Mark and you listen to the song Teutonic Terrors, it's kind of got that pacing, but with that apocalyptic theme. Lots of great apocalyptic songs on these new Accept albums, and this one goes right into that library. Really cool, really heavy. I think you'll really dig this song. If you're a fan of really heavy Accept songs, maybe this is one as well that you want to try right off the bat. Our 5th track, The Reckoning. The 6th track is a song Nobody Gets Out Alive. And it basically brings the old adage, the certainties of life, death, and taxes. But it is not by any means a downer of a song. Even though basically the premise of this song is, there is one thing that's going to happen to all of us. Death. There's no escaping it. There's no buying your way out of it. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or powerful. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States or, just a common, Joe on the street. Death comes to us all. But the point of the song is not just to, dwell on the fact that we're all going to die. It's to dwell on the fact of this. It doesn't matter. What matters is your journey. What matters is how you spend that life. And so I think it really is an encouraging song to really focus on your journey. I think sometimes we're so busy worrying about someone else's journey or what someone else has or what someone else, the unfairities of things. I want to pass on a poker adage. We all get dealt cards in life. But the one who wins the poker hand isn't necessarily the person who's dealt the best hand. It's how you play the hand that matters. And that's the way it is. Back in the 80s, there was a big thing when video games and books were build your own adventure. That's what this song's about. It's about building your own adventure, choosing your path, and playing your cards the very best you can. So, yes, it's about us all meeting our inevitable doom, but it's more about how we spend our life than how it ends. So, really an upbeat song. I really like this song. Track 6, Nobody Gets Out Alive. Now, I would not be a proper music critic if I didn't have something critical to say. And here comes my least favorite song on the album, Ravages of Time. It's kind of a melancholy look at aging. I guess it's their version of Dream On, maybe. Meh. It's a little too sad, a little bit too melancholy. And it doesn't really fit with what we just got through talking about. Going out and getting after it. Yes, the inevitability is there. We're all getting old. Hell, I've got more years in the rearview mirror than I have looking forward. But, I don't think dwelling on that is all that fun or useful. And the song kind of drags a little bit. Didn't really care for it. But, anymore you have to have a slow song to kind of, break the album up a little bit. Here it is, everybody. Here's the ballad. I'm a big fan of ballads. If you've watched the channel enough to know, I'm a mark for a good ballad. I just don't think this one hits the mark. So this is probably the low point of the album. But luckily enough, they don't stay in this spot very long. As I said, the one advantage to having a slow, melancholy song is that when you hit the gas again, it has a bigger impact. And boy, does Accept hit the gas here. One of my favorite songs on the track. Fast, heavy. The song is called Unbreakable, and it is an absolute banger. Love the energy in this song. There's a line in here. There'll be no surrender. That's the attitude. I don't want to hear melancholy songs about aging. I want to talk about fighting. I want to talk about getting through life's difficulties, coming out on top. That's what I want to hear from Accept, and they deliver here. So they go from slow to fast, more positivity. And here's the other thing. We haven't talked about Wolf Hoffman much yet, but Wolf has a very classical bent to his playing. And while he's been doing some different things with his guitar, this is really the first time in the album that I'm really hearing that classical Accept type of riff in here, and it just warms the cockles of my heart. So again, this is probably my second favorite song on the album, Unbreakable. Again, if you like the hard and heavy songs, run to this one. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Really good stuff. While we're at this breakneck speed, Accept brings out another one of my favorite things, the heavy metal gallop. In the next song, Mind Games. This is another really good song. I love this line. I'm going to read it. I'm searching for peace of mind, nothing but chaos and fear. Boy, doesn't that describe our environment right now? We are stuck in this 24-hour news channel of doom and gloom. Don't let the news steal your joy. Don't let the world steal your peace. I think the young people say, go out and touch some grass. This is a reminder that we can live our lives in fear, we can live our lives being pissed off, or we can go out, back to a couple songs ago, and live our lives and find our adventures and find our happiness, find our joy. Really great song. And again, I'm always a sucker for that heavy metal gallop. Nobody does it better than Accept. So very good stuff here. This is really, I think, the first three songs on the album are probably, the best part of the album. But these two songs back to back, really coming off the low point of the album, really bring the energy back in, really brought me back as a listener. Really love these two songs. Now, after really picking up the pace and really bringing the intensity, the next song is called Straight Up Jack. And it is straight up AC/DC. Like, my wife was in the other room and she was like, "Is this Brian Johnson? Is this AC/DC?" No. This is Accept doing their best AC/DC impersonation. And it is brilliant. I love the song. Like I said, if you wanted to do a song kind of AC/DC like, they did a very good job of it. A little bit of bluesy, a little bit of that back and forth dialogue in the songs that, AC/DC is known for. Really good song. Very different. For the most part, I would say this is the most different song on the album. Most of this is standard. You've heard a song kind of similar to this, in the Accept catalog. This one's unique. So if you want to hear what Accept would sound like if they sounded like AC/DC, this is for you. Straight Up Jack. Really good. Kind of a clever, like I said, plays on words. The lyrics are like AC/DC. The riff is like AC/DC. The singing's like AC/DC. This is good stuff. Straight Up Jack. Which leads us to the closer. The final song on the album, South Side of Hell, puts us back into a more classical Accept song. This is really the way I want an Accept album to end. It has, again, that classical Wolf Hoffman guitar styling. It has the intensity. It's a little heavier. Really like this song to end everything. And that's it. There you have it. 11 songs, 10 of which I like. One was not my cup of tea, but overall, pretty good album. Let's head to the next segment and recap what I thought of this album. All right, let's wrap this baby up. This is pretty much your standard issue Accept album. Especially if you've been listening to Accept in the Mark Tornillo era, this is pretty standard what to expect. If you like, especially the new albums, this album is another in the long line of very good albums. I would say that this is, once again, a guitar-driven album. Guitars and vocals are going to be right up front. Wolf Hoffman, one of those guys that doesn't get near enough credit. Great guitarist. Again, more along the lines of a classical guitarist than your more bluesy or jazzy guitarist. He does some really cool things in here, experiments a little bit, but it's pretty much standard Wolf Hoffman. Mark Tornillo has been a sensational replacement for Udo Dirkschneider. I don't know that Accept fans are ever going to accept him in the same vein as Udo, but they really should. Again, this is now 6 albums. This isn't the new guy on the block anymore. And they have put a string of very good albums. If you've kind of lost track of Accept, maybe this is you saying, "Oh, a new Accept album. Let me see what this guy has to say." But you haven't heard their new stuff. You need to give them a listen. We have a lot of bands. We talked about this at the intro. We've got a lot of classic bands that are literally putting out some of their best music right now in the year 2024. I can't believe how good Judas Priest's new album is. I can't believe how good Saxon's new album is. And this album, while I don't think it's quite as good as the Judas Priest album or the Saxon album, it's still very, very good and some of the best music that Accept has ever done. Again, I think pretty obvious what my favorites are. I like to go fast. I like to go jazzy. Frankenstein, way up there. All 3 of the opening tracks are good. But again, really liked Unbreakable. Really like The Reckoning, two of the heavier songs on here. So give those a listen. The song that I could skip, well, it's pretty easy. Ravages of Time was not my cup of tea, but when you have 11 tracks and 10 of them are good, you know you've got a good album. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, all right, where does this rank in the Mark Tornillo era? Well, spoiler alert, there's going to, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to put together a ranking for the Mark Tornillo albums because, quite frankly, I've loved them. And I want to share that joy with all of you out there who may or may not have, many people, will follow a band and then say Udo Dirkschneider leaves and people go, eh. And remember, Accept has that interesting little break where Udo's there and then they kick Udo out of the band. They kind of go a little commercial, if you ask me, and a lot of fans just went, nah. So if you've lost track of them, they're back to playing really good, heavy, melodic music. That is some of the best stuff going today. So I don't think it's going to be next week. There might be a special surprise for you guys next week, but probably in 2 weeks, be on the lookout. We're going to do a ranking of those Mark Tornillo albums. We're going to go tip to stern, tell you all about all the great stuff that you might have been missing. Now, if you love Accept and you want to go out and listen to this album and you want to see that rankings album, here's the best way to do it. Go down to the bottom, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, ring the bell for notifications because you don't want to miss future content. We do these every week, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock Denver Mountain Time. And so when we put out that Accept ranking, you want to be notified because, a couple of weeks go by, you might forget. You know how the YouTube algorithm is. Sometimes it tells you about stuff. Sometimes it doesn't. Don't take any chances. Just subscribe. Ring the bell. Do all the things, and you won't miss an episode. In the meantime, this is the Metal Dude signing off. You all take care.